Hi there, today I'll be reviewing a new game for you today. I played with the black pieces. I am now 1,320 elo. I made a goal of the channel trying to get to 1,600 elo, so hopefully you can follow me on the journey and see when I get there. Well, the game begins with my opponent playing e4, taking the center. And I begin by playing g6, getting ready to develop my dark squared bishop. He plays c3, getting ready in the future to play a move like d4 and take the full center. Very combative way to play against the King's Indian, Modern Defense, or Perk Defense, because I'm not going to be developing the center, while I will be playing from a distance and using a couple of my minor pieces to control the center. Well, I develop my bishop, and the opponent plays knight to f3, taking some key squares in the center, as well as in the future when he plays that move of d4, he'll be guarding that pawn. And I just play a normal book move of d6. He takes the full center, and I pin his knight to his queen. He then breaks the pin with his bishop, and I develop my knight, taking some squares in the center, as well as just getting it off its starting square. And he opts to castle in this position. I develop my next knight, don't want to keep the horses in the stable too long. And he makes this knight either jump around again, or I will capture the pawn. I decide to capture the pawn in this position. He captures back, and I take the queen. I remember I saw this whole sequence from a distance. I think it turned out a little bit different than the way I saw it. I figured by the end of this, then his pawn would be hanging, for I would take his queen, he would take back, I take his knight, he takes, and in this position I saw, well, I'm going to have my pawns doubled. I don't know about how much I like that. Or I can take back with my knight and lose a pawn. So let's say I play this move, which I do in the game. He takes my pawn there on b7. Well, I opt for taking the pawn. I don't want to have doubled pawns on b7 and b6. He takes, and this move, it attacks the bishop, but it also takes a long diagonal, and his rook isn't developed, and his knight is still on its starting square. I'm feeling pretty good in this position because he has a lot less development than me, and whenever he does develop that dark squared bishop to connect his rooks in the future, I'll be able to take that pawn, and I'll be up a pawn. So potentially I'm thinking I have an advantage in this spot. The computer is just saying there's a 0.3 advantage for white. Maybe it's because I'm not castled, but I don't see too many ways for him to disturb my king. He ends up moving his bishop to get it out of the way. I castle, trying to be a little bit safe here. And he plays this good move of moving his bishop to attack my knight. And thinking about it now, I'm like, how should I go about this? What I end up playing in the game is to just attack the bishop, because if he takes my knight, I can just capture back with my bishop. I also see that now that pawn on b2 is hanging. It's not like I could capture it because I would have lost my knight, but it's looking very capturable now. And he takes back, I take, and he decides to just slide his bishop back, attacking my knight, trying to double my pawns, I feel like, once again. And I develop my knight to attack the bishop. Not sure if he saw this, but he just moves his bishop once again. And as you can see, the computer is now giving me a big advantage, probably because he keeps moving his bishop around and around. I mean, that was 3 bishop moves in a row, and just in those 3 bishop moves, he lost a lot of advantage there. Not only that, but he lost his pawn, which is now capturable capturable. I don't know if that's a word. It's now able to be captured. So I end up taking the pawn here. Now I see it's not here. Oh yeah, it's right here. I see after he plays this knight move to d2, a very good tactic, and I will give you a second to try and spot this. You can pause the video if you'd like. What I end up playing is capturing his knight with my rook. It's a small sacrifice, but a big reward, because after he takes, I take back the pawn, and he is now losing a pawn and a rook and a knight. And though I'm losing a rook and my bishop, I'm getting pieces off the board when I feel like I still have the advantage, because I have a passed pawn on my c-file and a lot less pieces on the board to make it a lot simpler for me to go and promote that pawn. My opponent guards the rook as he should, and he loses it, unfortunately. And now, seeing this position, it just looks very, very good for black. Big advantage. I think it's my game to lose at this point. I bring my rook to the c-file, getting ready to push this pawn forward, and he tries to kick my knight. I bring it back to take some squares in the middle, and he decides to make a barrier for my pawn to get back to that back rank. And I continue by moving my pawn up the board. It'd be very nice to have a queen. And I move over my king, thinking about maybe getting my king in the game. I see that his king is blocked behind his bishop, so it's going to be a little while until he can catch up to that pawn. And he wants to double my pawns. I think this has been a big common theme throughout the game, him playing these little bishop moves that maybe try and disturb my position a little bit, but I see no worry in this. And I actually decide to keep my knight on the board. And he then moves his rook to the b-file. And the computer really doesn't like this move. I push my pawn forward, and he comes back to attack it with two pieces now, so time to push it again. And he moves his king back to the back rank. Back to the back rank. Weird way of putting it. But maybe in this position, let's say I was thinking maybe there would be some type of attacking the rook, getting it off that back rank, but I don't think that would have worked. Looking at it again, I thought about that during the game a little bit. Here, of course, there's just be losing a knight, but anyway, I move my pawn one square before queening, and now he begins to start pushing his pawns. And in this position, all I want to do is push my rook to his back rank, thus promoting my pawn into a queen, but he doesn't want anything of it. And in this position, I decide to just capture his bishop. He takes back with his pawn, and he's now losing a pawn. He then takes my pawn, and I saw that if I don't guard this pawn, like let's say I play like a silly move, like, I don't know, maybe just putting him in check, king moves, probably something that I should have done. Oops. Sorry, I did not mean to go so far forward. At least there is no checkmate for you to see. Anyway, where were we? Okay, I think we're right around here, yeah. So, instead, I decide moving my rook all the way back. I was scared of him playing a move like this, but I honestly could just move my rook to that b-file, b7, and I would probably be fine. So another journey for my pawn to go up the board. I start pushing it. He backs his rook up, moves his rook once again, and in this position I start moving my king forward. I see that my king can beat him to the most important squares on the board right now. And as I get there, he's kind of just making moves at this point. I think he kind of knows he's a little bit of toast, maybe hoping for a stalemate or just an accident on my part to lose that pawn, hoping for a draw. But after a couple more moves of him winning that pawn, I decide in this position, even though he is attacking, I move my king. I'm not sure exactly why I did this. I was not trying to taunt him. I think that my brain was just lagging a little bit, thinking, oh, I'll just capture back with my rook. Very silly move, I know. Definitely should have just taken that rook. I think it was his last-ditch effort. Or maybe I'm just being a little bit tilted or frustrated. He starts to play a couple more moves. I take some pawns, and in this position, he decided to opt for resigning, as the computer is saying mate in 10 here. Probably just a quick ladder mate with the pawns, making a queen for the fastest way. For some reason, I really like checkmating with just a rook. I think that's a lot of fun, but that was the end of this game today. Wasn't the most exciting, but I had fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like watching this series of me react to my 1300 chess content, please leave a like, maybe hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.